All right, we're live now. So here we are again. Welcome back to the Live Talk Show. Today we're discussing what is alignment, precision, and also what is perfectionism in your yoga sadhana, and also having a right mindset towards your life and also the practice and what alignment can bring in your lives. So let me welcome Mr. George Dovas. And meanwhile, those who are here for the first time, welcome to the Live Talk Show, and those who are here before, welcome back to the Mindset Mentor live series. I'm just waiting for my guest. Meanwhile, please just hang in there. Hello, everyone. Let me just say hi, Renika, hi, Laksh, hi, Yen, hi, Carla, and hi from Ufa, and hi, James, Tiago. Everybody, welcome. Namaste. How are you, everyone? Thank you so much. And hi, Fiona. Thank you for joining with us. And I'm just waiting for my guests to join in. So, meanwhile, just hang in there, guys. Just be patient a little bit. Hi, Felicia. Hello, everybody. We're waiting for Mr. George Dovas to join with us in this live talk. Any minute he will join with us, so just be patient. Okay. Hi, Lohon. Bonjour. Thank you for joining with us. Hi, Hitesh. How are you? Okay, I got a request from... no, I think I have to wait for my guest to join in. Let me see. Hi, Yoga Sai Garve. Hi, Seeker, Valor, Turtle. Wow, interesting names you got, guys. I try to see the name on the screen. Where's my guest? Sometimes it's very interesting things can happen on live, and that's what makes a live talk show very interesting, because it keeps us focused, you know. It's sort of like yoga. So hi, Kit. Hi. Okay, finally, I guess here he is. Here, Mr. George Dovas. Let me invite you. Okay, I'm inviting you. So in a minute he will join with us. We're waiting for you eagerly, Mr. George. Okay. Hello.
Hi, Victor.
Namaste.
Namaste. Hello to you. Namaste to you and your viewers.
All right. So welcome to the Live Talk Show, the Mindset Mentor by George Dovas and VK, discussing today what is alignment and precision and also perfectionism in your sadhana and also in your life. So, Mr. George, how are you? Tell me.
I'm very well, and I'm glad we're having this discussion now rather than years ago, because
Uh-huh.
my whole idea of what is alignment, precision in Iyengar yoga has changed in recent years.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So let me introduce the audience. So now here is Mr. George Dovas. George Dovas is the director of the Iyengar Yoga Center of Hong Kong, and he teaches of all levels, and he's also a mentor for upcoming teachers. And George is an assessor of the teachers seeking Iyengar Yoga certification in Southeast Asia and China. So warm welcome, Mr. George. Tell us, I'm going to straight jump into the topic today. Tell us, what is alignment?
Well, years ago, if you asked me what is alignment, I would have given
Mm-hmm.
you an answer which I think is a common understanding, and that is
Mm-hmm.
when you do a pose, the pose should be like this. This should be in line with that. Your hand should be in line with your shoulder. Your right foot should be 90 degrees this way. Your left foot should be 45 degrees that way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that concept is not what I believe to be alignment anymore. And my re-understanding or my awakening has come largely from the son of Yogacharya BKS Iyengar, Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Prashant Iyengar.
Mm-hmm.
He has he has been urging us to relook at what really is Iyengar Yoga. What is it really that Mr. Iyengar has been teaching us? And what it is a method, a practice for us to be engaged in the realm of Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So, for the viewers who may not know what Patanjali Yoga Sutras is, it's the iconic or canonic text that is the precept from which yoga comes. Patanjali, thousands of years ago, gave us a methodology for the practice of yoga. It consists of 8 parts. We call them limbs. And what Guruji's, when I say Guruji, I mean Guruji BKS Iyengar, what Guruji's method allows us to do is to understand this 8-part or 8-limbed system called yoga. So when it comes to alignment, what alignment really is a means for us to study.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're really studying is ourselves and our awareness. It's a study on awareness, and alignment is one tool. It's not the only tool. Now, alignment is not a fixed thing, like it has to be like that.
Mm.
But yes, at the beginning when you learn yoga, it appears to be like that. And I was thinking today what example I could use
Mm-hmm.
to explain this. And I thought a good example would be coffee. So if you wanted to become a connoisseur of coffee and you wanted to understand all the different types,
Mm.
cappuccino, latte, macchiato, piccolo, you have to have a type of reference point.
Mm.
First, what is coffee? You have to say coffee is approximately 150 mils of water plus 20 grams of coffee plus some milk if you're adding milk or sugar, a teaspoon of sugar perhaps.
Mm.
And then once you have a concept that this is coffee, that this is a beverage called coffee, then you can explore the different types of coffee. You can say, if I add more water, what happens? If I add less water, what happens? If I add more sugar or more milk, what happens? If I only add a dollop of milk, what happens? And this is how the poses are themselves. They can be customized. The alignment is not fixed, but once we have a sense of a particular type of alignment, then we can have a
Mm-hmm.
conversation. So when I say triangular pose, trikonasana in Sanskrit,
Mm-hmm.
I know, Victor, that you have a concept of what that is. And I have a
Right.
concept of what that is. And if you were to tell me you had sciatica, I would say the right leg, when you're doing trikonasana to the right,
Mm-hmm.
turn it more than 90 degrees.
Mm. Okay.
So alignment is not to say, Victor, you have to turn your right leg 90 degrees. It's
Mm-hmm.
given the concept of what is triangle pose, then we can start modifying for different reasons, for different conditions.
Mm. Mm. So what I understood is you're trying to create a stability in the practice. Am I right?
I think what we're trying to do through alignment is come to us, create a common understanding of a pose. From that common understanding, then we can make adaptations.
Okay, so tell us, when it comes to clarity of the mental body, because let's say right now you talked about the angles, which is great. So the mental is literally manas, the mental body. How does we bring the clarity with the tool of alignment? Because why I ask this question? Because mental has different ways, like you and I, we think differently, maybe others maybe think differently, but how does we bring the alignment in the manas mind or mental body or the clarity, adding the alignment in it?
Yeah, great question.
Thank you.
When I'm reading a book, I want to be able to have my focus on the book and understand what is being conveyed by the writer. Now, in the posture, at the moment that I'm doing the posture, I'm not involved in any other activity. So I want to be fully engaged. I want my mind to be present, a difficult thing these days.
Mm.
So alignment gives me an opportunity to stay present. If I have a concept that the pose should be this way, then I can see, is my body able to do the pose in this way? Now, the important point is that you don't force your body to do the pose, but you have a reference, a framework, a target. And then this is where props may come in. Okay, I can't do the pose in the way that I want. Can I use a prop, or can I change my method? So it's not always running to get a prop like a belt or a brick. It might be my way of doing the pose. So if I push my palms onto the floor with more force, will that
Mm-hmm.
help me do the pose? Now, I've used this example to help understand how we can bring the mind to the pose, but it's actually not about just making the shape of the pose. What's more important, and this goes into the realm of precision,
Mm-hmm.
what we're seeking is to get precise results from the posture and from our practice. A question for the listeners: by the end of your yoga class or your yoga practice, what is it that you want to be left with? Is it not you
Great.
want to be left with a calm, serene, clear head, clear mind, a body that's well rested and recovered? And this is what Patanjali Yoga Sutras is instilling these experiences of equipoise, calmness, stillness, so that one day we might experience the highest goal of yoga, which is a quiet, serene consciousness. Now, given that we want this quietness in our practice, then my poses and my efforts should align with that. And this is where in Iyengar Yoga and in Guruji's teaching, sometimes he would say someone is underdoing. And to other people, he might say, you're overdoing. Because it wasn't about the pose itself, it was about what was happening to that person. Someone who's underdoing, their mind is not fully engaged. Someone who's overdoing, they're not going to be left with that calm, serene state. And so alignment is not necessarily making the shape or making the pose. It's about aligning your practice with the goal of yoga, which is this quietness, this even what we would call thirstlessness,
Wow.
getting to the point
Means
where
we don't, you don't need a water almost.
yes, and that phrase thirstlessness is not just water. It's all those things that we would normally seek.
Okay, so let me have another question. So I have understood that stability of not just turning the right foot out as a 19th Trikonasana, but also a little bit of a diagonal to create stability, and also the clarity on the mental body manas, what that pose can happen person to person, but not just running to the props or make a shape or look good, which is great. So how does the energetic body plays role with the precision in the practice? The pranic body, let's say vitality.
Yeah. So the way I like to explain the pranic body or vitality is our energy is on a continuum. On one side of the continuum, we're very relaxed, almost heading towards sleep. And then on the other side of the continuum, we're very alert. And if that goes too high, you could say anxious. And if that still goes higher, panicked. So our
So are you
energy levels
referring,
are,
I'm sorry, are you referring to tamas and rajasic?
yes, we can look at
Okay.
it through that lens. Yes, these are Sanskrit words.
Okay.
Tamasic implies inert energy,
Inertia.
inertia, being still, being held. Rajasic energy is of a fiery quality, of action, of seeking. And in this system of Rajas and Tamas, we also have the balanced state, which is sattvic. Now, when we practice our yoga, what we want are poses that address these energies. So it's difficult to be balanced, or it's difficult to understand what is sattvic unless you've also explored the other ends of the continuum. So it's not incorrect to be rajasic when the pose calls for that. So doing like a handstand, which we call arm balance, Adho Mukha Vrikshasana,
Vrikshasana.
it is a pose that requires a type of fiery, action oriented energy. And it's not wrong for me to experience that and to play with that and to understand that in my practice. But at the same time, a balanced practice, an aligned practice, is where I've also experienced the quietness and calmness of a long forward bend, where I'm resting my head, seemingly doing
Paschimottanasana.
nothing, like Paschimottanasana. And, you know, the mind can fight with both of these energies. There are days I don't want to do the arm balance because I'm feeling lethargic. And there are days I don't want to keep my head down. I want to get up and do something. And so this is one way of disciplining or learning about myself. And when I've experienced many days of practice, sometimes on the Rajasic side, sometimes on the Tamasic side, I get a better sense of what it means to have a balance between the two. It's difficult to balance hot and cold if you don't know what either of those two things are.
Well, that's great. So thanks for explaining about this vitality, the energy, body, and prana, also a little bit of a gunas. I would like to quote Gita. In Gita also mentioned about these gunas. I want to talk about because living in the freedom of the mind, it requires a great balance between these three guna. We all need it. It's like a morning when you wake up, your mind is sort of and the whole other day when we get out in Hong Kong or we're moving around, this is like the movement or kind of a very passionate or rajasic. And then when it comes to the end, it's like a sleep mode or tamasic. And it's not, I do believe, I kind of felt we need all these three energies in order to move with our cycle, in order to find that freedom in the body and mind. But the question is that how does make people understand living in the freedom with these three gunas to find the stability, vitality, and clarity with the perfectionism of the sadhana that you do or you would like to share to the future practitioners or the teachers?
Okay, stability, vitality, and
Clarity.
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 Yeah. Um, as a yoga student, the the realization is that no matter how much we understand, no matter how much we know, like Einstein said, as the circle of what we know grows, so does the border of what we don't know outside that circle. And
Mm.
so there is no definitive answer to that. And this is why in in this field of yoga, we don't stop practicing and learning and studying
Mm.
because we're always recalibrating our idea of what is stability, what is the balance. If I look back at my life 5 years ago, I thought I had a balance between work, leisure, uh, earning enough to live, charitable contributions. But now my concept of that has changed altogether, and it probably will
Why?
change again.
Why?
I think it changes. It's not that. I think back years ago, I would be more prone to do more in a day or want to do more, and I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was normal. I thought that was balance. Whereas now I'm less prone to do as much, and what I'm doing now I think is balanced. But from
Mm.
someone else's point of view, if they look at my day or my actions, they might say, George is doing a lot in his day. It's there's no objective answer to that, and so through our
Okay.
practice we can only explore and learn and experiment and recalibrate as we develop new insight. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Guruji always said a disciplined mind is a free mind. And that's because the mind is so tricky. The mind will have us believe what it is we want to do or what the mind wants to do. The mind can justify all matter of things. And
Okay.
Victor, so it comes back again to alignment. What we're seeking to do through our practice is align our body with the
Mm-hmm.
mind and with the intelligence. So yoga looks at mind being different to intelligence. So mind is all the thoughts, all the input that's coming in, but your buddhi, your intelligence, is what processes all those inputs and makes decisions. So my mind could be saying, tomorrow you deserve to go to the beach. you've worked very hard today. You haven't gone to the
Mm-hmm.
beach for a long time. You should cut your classes. Or the mind can say, you are teaching tomorrow. You owe it to the students to show up. It would be
Mm-hmm.
wrong to cut your class. Now, depending on how strong the mind is and how weak my buddhi is,
Mm-hmm.
either thing could happen. So in yoga, what you're sharpening is your intellect. So the mind doesn't play games with you. And this goes again to Mr. Iyengar's son's teaching. Prashant Iyengar, sir, is telling us to really watch ourselves and use our practice to understand what is dharma, or what is our responsibility. And that's different for
Mm.
everyone. So everyone has their own call in life. Everyone has their own situation. Everyone has their own responsibilities. And this brings forth the point that we should never compare ourselves with other people. And our
Mm.
practices, our yoga, is to align our energy
Mm-hmm.
with our responsibilities,
Okay.
to align our mind and intelligence in order to fulfill our duties.
But one thing that's a wonderful sharing about this mindset. I think we're really in the deep conversation. So I would like to quote Gita in chapter 634. Arjun said, the mind is very restless, strong, obstinate. Oh Krishna, it appears to me that it is more difficult to control than the wind. So give us, as you added, stability, vitality, clarity. Now I want to talk about this wisdom body, the Vijnana Maya Kosha, or the intellect. How does it's so difficult to control our mind, especially within this, let's say we're in 2024. I'm not sure in the future who listening to this podcast or the live talk show. Maybe it might be easy for them or maybe not. So my question is that how do we control the mind? Because it's so strong than the wind.
Sri Krishna responds to that and he says, yes, it's difficult but possible.
Correct.
Through abhyasa te kontaya. He says, through practice it can be done. I actually read a very interesting definition of what abhyasa is, what practice is, and
Mm-hmm.
this is in one of Sri Prashant Iyengar's books.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just read it so I get the quote correct. It is,
Sure.
abhyasa is the resetting of the means thereof with the object of attaining it. So to attain that quiet mind, to stop that restlessness, we have to do abhyasa, practice. And what is practice? The resetting of the means. So this is where the alignment comes into play. If it's not giving you the quiet mind, your practice isn't giving you the quiet mind, you have to change the alignment. You may have to
Mm.
realign things in your practice to get the result. Um,
This is the
now,
very big work to do for everybody. I think you and I, for every
absolutely.
folks. It's a Satu Dirgha Kala Nairantyara, whatever is the
Sat,
Patanjali quote. I think you
sat kara sevito drida bhumihi. So the
Druda
full quote
Bhumihi.
is,
Yeah.
long, uninterrupted, and alert practice is the means to still the fluctuations of the consciousness. So there are three things. It has to be long, it has to be
Mm-hmm.
uninterrupted, and it has to be, in BKS Iyengar's translation, it says alert. What the way we understand that third aspect, alert, it has to have some sort of devotion. You have to be connected with it. So your
Uh,
practice can't be this mechanical
mm,
ritual. I'm just going to do
Right.
these 10 poses every day, and that's my practice.
Right. So, and also I understood that as a great Druda Bhumihi, it's like Druda, it's like strong or solid, or even great. Bhumihi, it's like earthy, like very great foundation. So it's just my generic understanding. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah. The
Okay.
Bhumi is the foundation. Mm.
So why I shared this Patanjali Yoga Sutra because we're on this Gita chapter 6, the Dhyana, the chapter, and then you were giving that answer, that practice abhyasa. And can I add vairagya a little bit in it? Because abhyasa and vairagya, they kind of goes together. They're like a
Absolutely.
bird has a two wings and your soul reach. I think you understand. You must have read in some Vedic scriptures about this. Would you like to share with us about this abhyasa and vairagya, why it's important as a two wings for the practitioners so you would fly high?
Yeah. So earlier I used the expression thirstlessness, and actually, when I said thirstlessness, what I'm actually referring to is the vairagya. The it's commonly translated as detachment, but detachment can have negative connotations. It can give the wrong meaning. Okay, so in the Yoga Sutras, it's saying the means to quieten the mind are
Mm-hmm.
abhyasa, practice, and
Mm-hmm.
vairagya, which I'm going to use the expression thirstlessness, not wanting, not always uh, seeking or striving.
What about renunciation or the dispassion?
Um, See, I think when you're when you're when you're not thirsty, it's not coming from the mind.
Mm.
You don't choose to be not thirsty. You just are not thirsty. And when you're thirsty, you can't tell yourself, stop being thirsty. And so that's why thirstlessness is such a beautiful English word for vairagya, because
Mm-hmm.
it's through the practice that it's naturally there should be this not wanting.
So it's a state
It
of being
it
free?
Yes, it is exactly that. So
Okay.
it's not the state of I want chocolate, but I'm going to force myself to not have it. That's
Mm.
not vairagya. Vairagya is you simply don't think of chocolate.
Wow, this is an essence of Vairagya. All right, George. So let us move on to the next topic. So I would like to discuss about this Ananda. Ananda is a bliss body. I'm quoting to one of our Guruji Iyengars that I recently read on it. Is literally uh, light on life. This talks about the Ananda is like it's almost like the divine for your soul. It's sort of a bliss state in another translation. So if we're adding that alignment, precision, and perfectionism in your sadhana, not only in the yoga practice, also in life, how does we achieve or for a fraction of a second or aha moments in the divine body? Where do you ever have this kind of or that kind of a blissful state? And how does it feel, or how do we achieve to have that the divine body, Ananda?
Um, I saw a comic the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Two people. One is
Okay.
like this,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one says, "Why are you so happy?" And the other person doing this says, "I don't know why I'm so happy." And for me, it's when I have a day where I just feel good and happy, and I can be kind of bopping down the street with a bounce in my step.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's a small hint of the fruit of yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And the ananda, the bliss, is said to
Mm-hmm.
to be at the core of who we are. So when we're not at this blissful state, it's not that it's something foreign to us. It's there
Mm-hmm.
within us, but there are other things that are covering our ability to connect with that bliss or that happiness, our worries,
Okay, it's a state.
our
It's a state
thoughts.
of mind.
It's, yeah. There's a very interesting study. The results of the study are interesting, but the title of the study is really interesting. A wandering
Okay.
mind,
Uh-huh.
a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. So what this study revealed is that it didn't matter the condition or the situation you were in. What determined your level of happiness was at that moment, were you connected mentally to the activity you were doing, or was your mind wandering? So
So it's
someone,
sort of like a samadhi, absorption, right?
yeah,
So absorb yourself,
yes.
oneness. Mm-hmm.
So someone could be ironing the clothes,
Okay.
but if their mind was on the task of ironing the clothes, they would self-report as feeling happy. Whereas someone could be in a five-star hotel at a
Mm-hmm.
beach resort, but when their mind was wandering and not present, then they reported unhappy or less happy. So a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. When we when we learn to align our mind with what we're doing, we become happy. We
Mm-hmm.
get a taste of that ananda.
That's great. So the ananda, so far from your explanation that I understood, is the freedom with the spiritual understanding to have a mindset rather the looking at the direction of the asana, but following the steps of various, adding the Sri Patanjali, Guruji teachings, and also Guruji's son, and also from your practice, some days up, some days down, some days low. So it's all this what we call like a dharma wheel, you know. You have a different spokes, it moves through you. It's like a cycle. So therefore, it's the state of mind that one should understand and cultivate through this spiritual teaching of great yogic tradition. Am I understood well what you shared just now?
Um, yes, but I think whenever we use the word mind, we've got to be careful
Okay.
because what yoga postulates is that we are something beyond the mind.
Okay.
And yoga helps us to get in touch with that, which is
Are
beyond
you
the
quoting
mind.
Sankhya or Sankhya, maybe like a ahankara, buddhi, and go about the purusha and prakriti?
Correct, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, George. So now I would like to leave the audience to ask us some questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, those who are watching this live talk show with Mr. George Dovas, if you'd like to ask any question, please write the question in the comment area. So, meanwhile, George, tell me, how's your day today? And how is this talk? How's it went? Well,
Had a wonderful day today. It was a public holiday in Hong Kong.
Mhm.
I started, as I do most mornings, with practice.
Right,
I
great.
was particularly pleased today because I opened up the studio for students to come in and practice, and we had a good turnout of students coming into practice on a
That's
public
great.
holiday. Yeah,
That's
it really is.
great.
It's one of my goals to support students to go beyond being a class goer to
Hmm.
become a practitioner. This
So it's more
language
like
is,
continue. Hmm.
is a similar language that is used in Pune at the Ramamani Iyengar Memorial Yoga Institute, which we call RIMYE. Their mission is not to have class goers, but to have practitioners. And to become a yoga practitioner, beyond coming to class, you have to have your own practice. You have to get on the mat and do something on your own, because that's how you really start to develop your understanding and start to really understand what you know and what you don't know.
Okay, that's great. So thanks for sharing about your day. Tell me, I have one question for you. What is yoga and how does yoga change in your life and why you do yoga? Tell us.
Why I do yoga? Because it helps me to have direction in my life. It
Mm-hmm.
helps me to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
It compels me. It strikes my curiosity. It ignites
Mm-hmm.
my curiosity. It's always surprising me when I thought I understood what yoga is. Then some new understanding opens up as to what it really is. I really can't imagine my life without yoga. I've said to some other people, it's for me, it's like an operating system. So your computer wouldn't work well if it didn't have wouldn't work at all actually if it didn't have an operating system. And what
Mm-hmm.
yoga is, it's constantly learning about the operating system, and like our operating systems on the phone and the computer have updates.
It's like a
For me,
hardware and software,
yes,
right?
for me, the practice is constantly updating your operating system. So it makes life
Okay,
easier.
that's
It makes
great.
life interesting.
Okay, so we have a question from Mayori. Can this state of bliss only be achieved via yoga? That's the question.
No, there are other means as well. There are several practices. There are several, um, should we say, spiritual methods that can lead to this.
Okay, so the next question we have from Imu, and she's asking that how can I tell if my practice is mechanical and how can I change from that?
If the same things are bothering you year after year, your, your practice is likely not having the desired result. So you would want you as a person to change year to year because of your practice. Now, when you change year to year, different things will bother you. Hope that you know you're progressing when the things that bothered you last year no longer bother you, no longer annoy you, no longer trigger you. But being human will find other things that now trigger us or bother us. And so the practice continues. How to get away from that mechanical practice is to set goals, or to understand the goal of a practice. So don't make the goal, I have to do this pose necessarily, or don't make the goal, I have to practice for 50 minutes. Although those two goals might be used for a beginner who's learning to practice. Okay. But if you've been practicing for a while, make the goal more in the realm of exploring. How can I make myself quieter today when I'm feeling anxious? What do I need to do? Or how should I change my practice to make myself feel more motivated on the day that I'm feeling less energetic?
All right. So thanks so much. Once again, George, I have one interesting question. Give us a few more minutes. In yoga, we're not looking at the classic period or the early Vedic or pre-classic or post-classical period, or even 19th century around like the modern yoga where it started, or now 2024, whereas the postural practice is really let's say a hot cake, if I just may, in a rough way, hot cake, like, hot chocolate or mocha or cappuccino, the hot coffee. People are like willing to buy. The more you better in advanced asana, the posture, the flexible you are, the masculine you are, you're super fit or looking great in the postures, posting in social media, you get attracted and drawing the students' attention in order to draw them into the class. So my question is, back in the day, it wasn't like this, but why it's now like this? And of course, we evolved, times have changed. But what is yoga and where is yoga now? The tradition, the great tradition it's at the stake right now, I feel. I don't know, you could answer me. The tradition that we live in, because, yeah, I'm sorry again, because you shared a lot about this, so many great things about the practice and all, but how many people are really understanding this piece or, this modality or bringing this sort of this consciousness in your mindset?
I'll restate something Mr. Iyengar's granddaughter has said, Abhijata Iyengar. She said that in the days of T. Krishnamacharya, who was the guru of BKS Iyengar and Patabi Joyce, and the guru of Desikachar, the father and guru of TKV Desikachar. In those days, T. Krishnamacharya was concerned that yoga was becoming commercialized.
Okay.
And so I think what that points to is that at any period of time, I think there will be a notion that yoga is being used commercially or yoga is not understood fully. And I think that's part and parcel of the nature of yoga. And even myself, I wouldn't want to presume to know yoga fully and understand it. So I don't want to be the person saying, yes, everyone else is doing yoga commercially and not understanding the depth of yoga. And here I am, I'm on the right path, because I might also be wrong. So it's one of those subjects that we all have to make our own efforts, but not separate from each other. So I think these conversations are very valuable. I think it's very important to talk about yoga in addition to learning about yoga, so we can clarify
Right.
with each other what we each understand yoga to be. And this points to the fact that we all need to have a teacher, because it's very, very easy to go off track without a teacher.
Right, because earlier you have given some talks and you talked about a lot of benefits, and also you mentioned ancient science of yoga or the ancient modality is being verified by the modern science, but we are losing somehow. So again, once again, welcome to the Mindset Mentor program. So we want to have the right mindset to anchor ourselves, to deep dive into it. It's like, if someone pushed you in the pool or in the ocean, you would go down and you swim and come back, and the depth of it. So how does we cultivate this path to live in a freedom with our body, our mind, our purusha, in order to maintain the prakriti, that changing is unchanging? How does bring that mindset? Can you answer for us?
Yeah, I think we're living in a world of many distractions. Our attention span has changed because of this array of short form content. So we have to start with small steps. So if you are keen to better yourself, make yoga a priority in your life. So if it starts with making coming to class a priority, start there. Don't go 1 week and then 2 weeks you don't go to class, or you go to one teacher 1 week and then you go to another teacher another week and a different style the next week. So I think you need to have some form of continuity and always look for one more small step. So if you're already going to class regularly, can you do 10 minutes of practice on your own as the next step? If you're already doing 10 minutes of practice on your own, can you make it 20 minutes? Can it work up to 1 hour? If you're already practicing on your own, can you read a book related to yoga in the coming month? So always giving yourself one more small step to work on.
That's great. Thank you so much, George, for your wonderful sharing. Yoga is a quite simple but yet complex, and it is a vast subject. Like we say, samudra means ocean. In order to find your alignment or aligning with the oneself is simply to find, in a spider web or this cosmic geometry, we have to sort of like blend in or fit in by go through that vrittis, which is the fluctuation of the mind, also this boundless energy, this intelligence, and also that leads us this well-being to arise. It's saying in the Gita, Uttishta Parantapaha, Uttishta, it's, arise from this tamasic state to sattva guna. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, George. Would like to share anything? If not, we're very happy and thank you for being here with us, sharing wonderful yoga talk, having that right mindset as a mindset mentor.
My last words of advice: take yoga seriously, but not yourself.
Thank you very much. So let us find this alignment through our body and let us discover that alignment of our mind and self and with the intelligence. So I would like to respect Guruji Iyengar and also our great tradition, T. Krishnamacharya, and all the gurus that taught us this wonderful tradition that give us this path or the gateway to access our soul in order to find that beautiful alignment with this cosmic geometry. Thank you, George Dovas. Thank you, everyone.
It's been a pleasure. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, everyone.